All right.
Good to go?
Yeah, I'm good. All righty. Hello and welcome to the Turtle Hour podcast on a Wednesday night. A little weird. The vibe is a little weird.
Yeah. We're going to do, it's the end of the year, so we decided to do some end of year reflection and kind of get this out to you guys before the new year. So
because we don't want to hear anything about 2020 and 2021.
yeah, leave this shit behind.
Yeah.
But some say you can't live in the future without living the past, so
I don't think you can actually live in the future. It's just you're constantly in the present, you know.
true.
You can only ever look to the future. You can't ever live it
True, very true.
unless you're a time traveler.
Wise words from Joel Cordone.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I guess do you want to go first? You want to kind of.
You know, you once told me that you did this almost every year. You kind of looked back on it, had a nice little reflection. So I'm gonna let the pro go first here.
I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but
well, I've never I've never had that angle on it, because my birthday's on the 6th of January, and then I have a cousin's birthday after that, and then my tia's birthday in February. So the train doesn't really stop for us,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But you say, definitely you feel the cutoff of a year.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. You work with the calendar, actually.
I mean, working in retail does that to you, for sure.
True.
And then also, the football season and all that stuff. So I always kind of worked on the calendar and stuff like that. So I guess that's just me.
Gotcha.
That's just me. But
Yeah. So what'd you take away from 2020, man?
it's kind of crazy.
That's putting.
I think a lot of people can say that, but I look back at where I was in 2019 in this exact moment. It was still in a pretty rough spot, because of certain things that had just happened and shit, and I had just gotten done actually having a really, really good quarter at work, and that was basically the highlight towards the end of the year. I think my parents had just finished visiting me right before the new year. I think they went back on this day, on the 30th. Man, just looking back, when they went and visit me, I didn't have a haircut, my beard was just all over. Dude, I looked like a straight up caveman when they came to visit. And I'm pretty sure I still look that way too when Adrian and Lupe came to visit me a couple weeks later.
Yeah, I think they made you go. You wanted to go get a cut. I remember seeing that on your story.
And you don't really think about it until after it's all done, where you kind of look back and think, and just I really wasn't taking care of myself. And that's when you realize that shit, I came along, a long way from where I was, then. It was a lot of uncertainty going into 2020 for me, especially because it was gonna be a full year coming up of me being in Michigan, over there by myself, taking up that store. 2020 was supposed to be the year where I was finally making up my numbers and stuff like that. And so that's what I was not looking forward to, but kind of, what was in the forefront for me. And, sorry, we just ate. So
Shaku. It was delicious.
Oh man, I needed that, man. That was good.
Yeah.
But,
for those of you who don't know, Shaku is a very delicious, yummy Park Ridge, sushi place.
Yeah.
And, Lynn's going to hate me for taking you there instead of her.
What, I have a blackberry cocktail?
Yeah.
It was a blackberry cocktail?
Yeah, what'd you think?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's my dad's favorite drink. Well, it was, but then something about the bartender changed and he got all grumpy. So that sounds like my dad, doesn't it?
Dude, it sounds like a definite guy thing to do though.
He messed up my order.
You know what? I think I'm okay for now. Yeah. No, but
Bless you, yeah.
So yeah, I think about how I started 2020, and I guess to put into perspective for those who don't know me, I was in Michigan. Yeah, again, reiterating it. All by myself. I didn't have no family, no friends, nothing like that over there. And I had just gotten done with the holiday season, and I was basically going to be left with just 2 employees because the rest were seasonal. And so I had some hiring to do, and and that was kind of just work stuff.
It just hit me that 2 months before that's when that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. So we can.
Okay, I guess I'll go a little deep into it.
You still want to use Pebbles as the name?
Yeah, we'll use Pebbles. I don't really feel like I need to use a name here.
A nickname.
Yeah. So November. We'll take you back to November 2019. The weekend of my birthday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Man. This might get hard to talk about, but
no, you're good, bro.
No, basically, it was the end of a relationship, in which I didn't want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna, be upfront and honest about it. Even though it's probably something that I should have wanted, and not just because of them or anything like that. It was just a toxic relationship from both sides. And obviously she had accepted that sooner than I did. So she was obviously done with that. And unfortunately it came at the expense of it being on my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
And all that. And again, like right after that, I had to spend all the holidays by myself. Oh, and then at the same time, I had just had an employee that had stolen glasses from us. And, I was dealing with all that shit, on that whole entire week, man. The whole entire week, it all just kind of came at me at once. And I had that going on, and Black Friday was about to come, and I had no employees, and this was pre-COVID, so it was, malls were packed and shit, and this was going to be my first Black Friday all by having a store all by myself. And so I was dealing with basically all that shit, and I put work in the forefront, obviously, of the other thing, because the first day I went back to work after all that, because it was a week of vacation that I had taken. The first day I had gone back to work, I actually got a visit from the LP guy, the loss prevention guy. So like, right out the bat, it was just things just mounting on top of each other. And it's crazy because the LP guy was actually a blessing in disguise. And I'll tell you why. Because he he asked me, like, oh, like, you still have a girlfriend and blah, blah. I was like, that didn't really work out.
That's right. That was that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then he knew about, one employee who stole, and then the other employee who was supposed to show up that day but never showed up.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So, things just left to right, man, just kept coming at me. And he was just like, you're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be upset. And it's okay, but you have to keep on moving. He's like, you're allowed to sit and cry, but you're allowed that for a day, and you have to keep on going, because that's just how life is.
I remember you telling me about that, and that, like, this stranger, it's like the hooded stranger, right? And he gives you this piece of advice, right? And you take the shilling, and
yeah, and
it means more than what it actually just is at that point.
And he doesn't really know exactly what's going on through my head. He doesn't know the details of the relationship that and the fall through or anything like that, because I didn't tell him. I was just like, hey, like, things didn't. I think he was saying it more on the side of what was going on at work with the person that stole and the the person that just didn't show up and stuff. I think he was saying it more on that side, but little does he know that, like, it had more
the shilling.
And I think that's what helped me push that to the background, and helped me really have a successful holiday season, to be honest. I was really proud of myself. It was really something to, I feel like,
it was numbers that you were earning, and it was going to show up on, like, your your board or whatever, your dashboard or whatever you have.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I was the youngest store manager in the company,
baller status.
And not to toot my own horn or, like, suck my own dick or anything like that, but like, something like that, like, I definitely feel like at least some kind of recognition is warranted. It's just like, dude, this guy literally lost this guy is 20. I had just turned 20. This guy's just turned 20 years old. He is about to head into, and this is a busy outlet mall. It's not just your regular, like, whatever mall. Like, this was a busy mall. And, I had just lost, almost all my staff, and I was able to get enough, thankfully with the help of, one of my employees. I won't name his name for privacy's sake. But he did help a lot. But, like, I was able to staff the store, and just the way I was able to do it, I'm just like, dude, I have technically I have some experience in retail now, but, like, I have no actual, like, store manager experience. So I was able to turn this shit, like,
turn into profit.
Yeah, and I didn't even get, like, the district manager didn't even, like, call me or anything like that. He didn't even, nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah, that's one thing that you'll start to see in life in general.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, yeah, that's one thing you start to see, but to go through all that and then also have the things going on at home, well, not necessarily at home, but in my own head, I guess it's kind of just adds. It's just kind of, you try to take some things away, but other things kind of add to it without you really realizing it. So yeah, so I go through the holidays by myself. Just recently, gotten out of a pretty toxic relationship, even though I didn't want to get out of it. And yeah, that's how I started the new year, 2020, and it was kind of, how I say this, I didn't wait very long until I went for help, I guess you could say. I want to say it was probably a week into the new year where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna see a therapist. I was just like, fuck it. What do I gotta lose? I had nice benefits, so might as well use them. And it helped to a certain extent, for sure. I think it helped me talk about what was going on before all that, really, because I was really tired of. I wouldn't say I was tired, but I didn't want to necessarily bother you guys about it much because you guys had already heard enough.
That's one thing. It took you a minute to realize this about me, but I could hear the same shit over and over again and still give you different advice or the same advice, really, and still just be there for you. And I never saw that as troublesome, bro. Thanks. I just want you to know that for sure.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
And to add on to that, you were the only one who really, you and probably Adrian were the only ones that really knew what was going on. I didn't tell anybody. My sister didn't find out that I was done with this person until I don't think anybody really knew what had happened until quarantine. Yeah.
March, 3 months in.
Yeah. And
5 months since the thing happened.
Yeah. And you know, it's without, you know, trying to bore you guys and stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna go through the whole, you know, everyday kind of thing, but you kind of get into this place of you're lost. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want to do, what motivates you anymore. And what kept me afloat is, the therapist, and also I did go to the gym a good amount during that time, at the beginning of the year. That was kind of what helped, and of course you guys, you know, playing video games and stuff like that when I wasn't doing that. But I can definitely say I started the year with like a sense of just just no clue who I was or what was coming forward. I wasn't scared. I wasn't I guess angry at the world or anything like that. I was just I felt alone. You know, alone and lost. You know, it's unless you've been there, you can't really understand what that feels like. And I'm just happy that I had the people around me. And I'm happy that I went out and seeked help to help me get out of that, because even as I came here for quarantine, because then quarantine happened, and it was still, I had a lot more time to think about it, you know, and a lot more time to really digest what had happened with, you know, me and Pebbles and all that stuff. And you know, I just packed up my bags and I came here for most of quarantine. And well, you know about the whole thing about, you know, someone reaching out and stuff, and so that kind of threw me in for a loop. I'm not gonna lie, when I went back from here to sorry about that, I forgot to put my phone on vibrate. At the end of May, when I went back to Michigan, I left early. I left earlier than I had to, because here in Chicago, I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I just fell into a really big depression towards the end of my trip here. And I don't know why. And you know, you go back and I went back to Michigan, and I guess I had this kind of revelation of just like, I started actively putting myself in situations of, okay, like where do I want to be? Where do I see myself? Like what's going to help me? Because I don't want to be in the spot forever, mentally, emotionally, and all that stuff. And so what I did is I put all the situations of what I can do, and then obviously the place I was working for was kind of going to shit. Let's just say they lost a ton of money because of COVID,
right? And
they were treating us like shit. I was working, you know, 8-hour shifts and smack in the middle of the day. You know, I know it sounds kind of snobby for me to be complaining about work to certain people, because, you know, some people aren't working, but I don't mean to come out like that. It's just, look, when you got all this responsibility and you got this whole pandemic happening and you're living on your own and you're working, you know, 10:30 to 7:30 every day, you barely even have time for yourself in the morning or in the afternoon, and you're doing this every single fucking day. It's brutal. It's brutal, man. And I thought about it, and I was just like, I could just go back home and call it quits on my own terms, and tell them and know that I'm doing a move that was an attempt to make myself happy, you know. And I did that, and obviously there was kind of mixed emotions about it, of like, you know, did I really give it the time I should have? You know, did I rush into the decision that I made? Should I have spent a little longer time in Michigan? And looking back to it, I made the right decision for sure. because listening to what they had to go through for the holidays, I don't put it lightly, but some interesting things probably would have been going through on through my head there. Yeah, and I moved back here, and I start hanging out with you guys a lot more, and I'm unemployed and stuff like that, and that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But it definitely helped me kind of re-energize myself in terms of socially, because my battery socially was
drained.
No, not drained. Actually, I said that backwards. My social battery was out of this roof, overcharged, and like once I was finally here, it was just like, dude, like, and obviously, with the whole COVID thing, it wasn't like crazy, but like I tried my best to.
Well, no, we mentioned that you pretty much didn't see anybody that you really knew or like could talk to on anything really.
Nope.
Just interaction with like a cashier when you were getting groceries or something.
Yeah, and I know people were like, why didn't you hang out with your employees? And I was like, it's for me, it's different when you are the boss.
Yeah,
it's a little different, and the way that I like to run things, I'm already, I wouldn't say easy to take advantage of, but it's already kind of, how I say this, my managing style is a little, I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but more so just like, as long as you're doing your job, I'm not going to be on your case, and like I'm fine being like cool, like buddy with you, like at work. But outside of work, like I want my private life to be my private life. I don't need that. I don't want to carry my work life home. I didn't want to do that.
And I think we established in like a recent episode that you function, like you didn't even notice this about yourself, but you function better when you're busy.
Yeah.
And so reflecting on that, like, November to, early January, where you were just putting in absolute numbers and work and stuff, it makes sense, really.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that's just how you operate. And so that lull through March, I can see how
from January to basically, till May, I would say it was kind of just, it was a challenge mentally, for sure. So like, I guess, what I've learned this year, I've learned a lot of things, and I've learned that I still don't have shit figured out. I don't think anybody does. And I've also accepted the fact that it doesn't matter what I do. What matters is that the choices and the things that I decide to do, as long as it's what I want and I know it's going to make me happy, then why not do it? Why stop yourself from that? And why let anybody else stop yourself from that? And even if it's going to, how I say this, rub certain people in your close circle or even your own family the wrong way, it's kind of just like, I understand, you're looking out for me and you don't, you're just worried and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's just like, I feel like I've been through so much shit already for some, like, obviously there's other people out there that I can't even imagine what they've been through. But I've experienced life, the world by myself for a whole last year. And let me tell you, that shit changes you. Yeah. it especially when you're
in the role that you were in.
Yeah, and then cast it away. I mean, the person that ended the relationship, it was someone who was very important to me. Whether it didn't matter what that person did or what, whatever was going on, like I had it in my heart that I wanted to do whatever it took, to be with this person. And I got that from my parents, because they,
you always say the hopeless romantic in you.
Yeah. And So it was very hard for me, whether it was good for me or not. And I think I could say it was good for both of us. And even though I can't, I don't necessarily am in contact with this person anymore. I've also learned that, sometimes life doesn't have a good ending. You don't get that closure all the time. Sometimes there are things that you want to say and you wish you can get out there, but it's not that you're wasting your time. It's just, what for? What's done is done, and you have to move on just like they did. It might hurt you in the way that they did, but at the same time, it's just like they don't owe you anything, just like you don't owe them anything. And at the end of the day, you can only control what you do, and how you go about things. And I think that was a really big thing to learn this year for myself is I know what I deserve and what I can do, or not what I can do, but what I can offer, not only to someone else, but to myself. And I'm not ending the year, I would say, in a good place, but in a better place. And I think for everything that happened this year, I think that's really, I'm just grateful that I'm able to say that, because there's a lot of people who can't. And that's the way that I look at this year is look at your fortunes and be grateful for everything that you do have, because it can be taken from you just like that. And at the end of the day, the only person that you're actually going to have is yourself. And if you don't like who you are at this moment, you got to work towards that. It's not going to just come at you one way or the other. And you also have to step out of your comfort zone to find who you are, to know what you want. And I feel like that's what I did. And that whether some part of it I was forced into, or not, it is what it is. And I'm just happy to be back with family, friends, and I'm ready to continue this journey of learning who I am and bettering myself as a person, and knowing that I may not be in a good place now, but someday I will be. And the only way that that's going to happen is by my own means. I have to want to change. I have to want that. And that's with anyone or anything. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. And it's like the quote from BoJack Horseman, the guy that is running, and BoJack is trying to learn. He's trying to get into the routine of running every day, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy who's already been doing it for a while sees him dead on the floor after he tried to run like 2 blocks. And he's just like, he looks at BoJack and he tells him, it gets easier. Sorry. No, it gets easier, but you have to do it every day. That's the hard part. But it does get easier. And I tell myself that constantly now, because it's true. It gets easier. But the hard part really is just keep on doing it, and find yourself people that are going to be there around you to tell you to keep on going when you can't tell yourself, is what I also learned. You have to have, as much as, we want to try and do life by yourself, you also have to have a good surrounding people with you. And I'm fortunate enough to have that. So I'm heading into the year optimistic. And I'm not going to say it's not where I want to be, because at this point, I'm just happy to be alive. Right. After everything that's been going on, and it's just feel very fortunate to be here and excited for whatever is to come, whether it's 4 more months of being in a lockdown, or maybe, who knows, maybe a whole last other year. I just know that I have myself and I have people around me to help me get through it, whatever this year decides to throw at us. So, yeah, that, I guess that's kind of just this simple summary of what goes on through my head during this reflection. But yeah,
that's good, man. Yeah.
What about you, man?
Me? Oh, well, 2020 has actually been an excellent year for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned count your blessings. You saw me do that like humongous like yes nod. And yeah. So I ended 2019 kind of in a shitty place, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity that I really wanted to take at work, right? And at home, I had this, my parents obviously want me to focus more on school, correct? Right. And they weren't convinced of the game plan that I gave them, and then right up at the end they were buying more into like what I was saying, but by then the opportunity had gone. And so, I was stuck in this place that I had been stuck in since like the beginning of 2019, and I felt like I had come full circle before, I felt like I went in a straight line pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Like the opportunity of a circle, or like at least a hemisphere,
right,
showed itself.
Or at least an upward trend, or some kind of trend.
It showed itself. There was a path that I could have taken, and I didn't. And so that opportunity went by, and I started the year, kind of, not bitter. Yeah, actually bitter. I started the year a little bitter. But you said count your blessings, so I am.
You got to be honest with yourself when you're doing these things too.
Oh yeah. And so I'm counting my blessings, and I'm grateful that my grandfather, who was diagnosed with very early stages of pancreatic cancer, which, if you know anything about pancreatic cancer, is that it's a son of a bitch. And
can't imagine.
Not a lot of people can survive that, actually. So he had actually, in December of 2019, moved in with us. So he was at home, getting at home care. And he was living with us, and it was good. And so that was the first blessing of the year. I went in, with my grandfather, who, is still in remission, thank God. And it's all because we caught it early. Literally, it's incredible. Where the tumor was growing happened to block the passageway of his kidney, so it caused a different problem before it caused a cancer problem. Right?
Oh wow!
So because of that blockage, that's how we found out, and it was super early on, and that's a dangerous place to operate, right? So it has its own risks, but at the same time, we caught it before it metastasized. So yeah, blessing number 1, right? Blessing number 2, I'm still in school, right? I felt like school and work were competing a lot with each other in 2019, but I found a really good balance in 2020, and then everything went online, and I found an even better balance through that, which is incredible. Yeah. And I was able to take on more hours sometimes. And yeah, so that's another blessing. And if I'm going to be honest, I just kept getting those. I haven't been sick. Some of my family did get sick, and they came out okay. A couple of breathing issues, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not dead. Thank God.
Yeah.
Again, and so it's all of these things. I'm looking back on 2020, and everyone's saying, "Oh, what a shit year! What a terrible year," and it wasn't for me. And I can't help feeling guilty at the same time.
You shouldn't, man.
I shouldn't. I know. Because I'm not at fault for causing these miraculous things to happen, or But I definitely feel like I have that sort of survivor syndrome. You know?
Yeah.
It's that the fact that it's going well for me, the fact that I'm so conscious of other people suffering, you know, I can't just be here like, I want my store to open because my store is closed right now. And I just want business, you know, and that's my focus, not worrying about whether or not my family's going to pull through, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm just, you know, baffled at the fact that I felt chosen, you know, to just not suffer this year. And although, yes, the masks are uncomfortable, that's the only thing I can really complain about, you know. And yeah, you know.
What about being stuck inside for? Because you were stuck inside for a while.
Yeah, man, but I learned guitar. And that was my outlet. And, you know, singing with my grandfather was very nice. Jose, who was my boss, he actually came in and he's like, it was amazing. It was your dad, you, and your grandfather, 3 generations of Cordon. And he's like, if it wouldn't have been so damn weird, I would have taken a picture. And I was like, yeah, it's awesome. And again, you know, just blessings being counted. And I'm feeling guilty right now just talking about it, like in perspective, you know. And I'm, you know, still with my girlfriend. You know, this year was our 6th year being together.
Congrats.
Thank you. Woo.
You do have a live audience, so
I do. But yeah, you know, everything is good. Everything is good this year. I got a promotion this year when people are losing their jobs this year. And, you know, when I'm working, you know, people are talking about their struggles, and I'm sitting here pretty. And again, that feeds into my, you know, conscience. But I also recognize I'm in a position to do more, you know, and do more for others for sure. And I know I told you about, last episode I told you about, you know, the guy that I gave donuts to, the 2 guys that I gave donuts and coffee to, right? I do that all the time, really. And I feel like I'm obligated to do that kind of thing more, right? I donated to a water charity or whatever. And like you said, I'm starting to realize maybe I won't ever be rich either. Because I have this sort of success guilt, you know, and I have this sort of mentality where I put in quality work is what people tell me, right? But it's just work for me, whether it be in school, whether it be, you know, at work. And yeah, like I said, just blessings on blessings. I'm ending the year with a promotion. I'm ending the year with a brand new team that I'm really getting along with. This is my 2nd day with them, and, you know, I'm hitting it off with the people that I'm meeting and everything. And, you know, the manager is great. And while it was hard to leave the other branch, they're not that far. They're literally down the street. So they're a stone's throw away. And that's a family away from family that I won't ever forget. And yeah, among other blessings, 2020 was actually a fantastic year for me. And I don't think I'll ever forget that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure like those blessings helped bring you out of the downs too, you know? Or
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know if I should say this, but, you know, this year has had just one big downside. Really is that I'm not talking to a person right now. And you know, it's a relationship that I've had for as long as I can remember, and for it to be damaged by something so like petty, pretty much, right? It sucks, but I'm also ending the year trying to fix that as well. So yeah, just the fact that I can reach out to this person still, you know, that it didn't all end on a bad note is a blessing in itself throughout 2020.
Right.
So yeah, that's, I mean, just like I said, constant blessings this year, and it sucks to think about.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that I feel everyone should get out of this how I say it this year is to value life, to value the people around you, and not only that, but I see so many people sometimes like just really sad, really sad and kind of just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be here
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And it's just like, some people just do it all just to say it, but to the people who really do believe that and really feel that way, you're not alone. And I know sometimes, a lot of times when you feel that way, you feel like it's only you know.
Yeah.
But you're not. And I know with the pandemic and all that stuff, it really didn't help, with that. But to put it the way that the movie Soul put, spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen Soul, but
Go ahead.
you matter. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter, where you are in your life or what's going on. It's the simple matter of fact is that someone out there cares about you, and you deserve to be here. You're here for a reason, whether it be a very small reason or a really big reason. It doesn't matter. Live your life the way that you want to, and sometimes that's all we can do is to live our life how we like. And for the people who don't necessarily have that luxury, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, there's ways out there, because, sometimes there really isn't. And if you are someone who does, take that chance, take that opportunity. And, as much as there are downs, you're a prime example that there can be ups, and you just gotta look at it.
Yeah. You know what, Eric? I'm very hopeful for your future as well, man, because I feel like where I'm at right now is going to be the next couple of months for you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And so I say that because my 2019, it started going downhill in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like August up to January, it was all very downhill for me. And I felt very much in my own head, unsure that I even wanted to be home at some points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, just running away from that, like seeking shelter just at work sometimes, or in my room, in my mind, because, just all of that was going through my head. I felt like I had not made any progress
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like, I hated my classes. I hated everything.
Right.
And then, my grandfather was at home. I spent a lot of good time with him. Oh, we built an awesome deck outside. That was like the best summer project.
You and your father made an amazing deck.
Yeah,
I've seen it and stood on it, and I'm just like, you guys got to teach me how to do this shit someday. But
just a lot of leveling, a lot of measuring, dude. It's just that. And it was a great project for me to go out into the summer, because I'd even before quarantine, I'd been locking myself in, whether it was at work or in my room, and then the ups were up,
mm-hmm.
and they just kept going that way for me. And like I said, I can't help feel guilty about it. I know I shouldn't be, but that's just me, looking at other people's struggles.
Look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who has been who was expendable to someone, and who used me, I guess you could say, in the end for their own, I guess, reasons. I get it. I'm not saying that I would necessarily allow this person back into my life. But I don't feel the way that I did the first, couple. It still hurts, but knowing that that person did it to make themselves happy and for them to be in a better place, how can I be mad at that? That's all we hope for. That's all any of us hope for, is to be in a better place of where we are currently, or in the past, and it's I think anybody who is in a lower spot than you, or just maybe hasn't had those fortunes like you, would tell you, appreciate them and don't feel bad. Be happy that they're there for you and that you've had that. And it's good to see. Mm-hmm. Seeing things like that is what gives hope. It's why you see things on the internet of like, oh, like, someone just had a big break and stuff like that. It's just like, man, if that person can have that, why can't I?
Dude, the cranberry juice guy, the one who rides on his skateboard, dude. When I heard that he got like sponsored by them and all that shit, and then he was like chilling with Snoop Dogg, man, I felt good for him. And I was like, whoa, that's so dope, And then he gave most of the money to his mom and his brother for letting him stay at the place and stuff, and it's just,
I'm telling
that's that feel good, like, that dopamine rush that you get off of other people's successes. And
man,
I don't know why I can't seem to do that off of my own, right? Maybe it's just I
feel like
I don't want to feed my own ego or anything.
That and maybe again, because I don't want to assume for you or anything like that.
Go ahead, I'll tell you if you're wrong.
But I think a part of it, fuck, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I had it and then it kind of
disappeared.
It kind of just disappeared. But I mean, I get it. But at the same time, it's you deserve it, man. And even if you don't feel like it, like you deserve it, or like you said, you feel bad. Don't, man. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
But dude, you deserve it, and anybody deserves it. And I think at the end of the day is just don't be afraid.
It was a lot of patience. If I'm gonna take anything away from 2020, is that the patience will pay off, and it did, and the dedication, because my hard work in a time of absolute shit was unshaken. My consistency was there, and my drive to continue getting better and stuff was there, even though all these obstacles were being thrown at us. And I think I learned who I was this year. I'm adaptable. And now all these issues coming my way that I foresee in the future, I know that I can handle them. And I think that is something I haven't felt before.
Mm-hmm.
This certainty, And I understand that in comparison to other people, I have it easy. I'm saving a bunch of money, just staying with my parents, right? But yeah, in the end, right, I know that in my position, right, in a position that a lot of other people are in, I stood out.
Mm-hmm.
And that means something.
I'm telling you, man.
Thank you.
You should applaud yourself.
I don't know.
And
I can't ever do it. I can't take a compliment. What makes you think I can compliment myself?
which is why you have people like me, like your girlfriend, your family to be there and tell you, like, you deserve it, man. And we're proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm sure if, you know, Lane or your parents were here, you know, it is sad to know that it's not something that people necessarily, you know, say to someone when they're going, you know, moving up in the world and, you know, going through changes and realizing who they are as a person. I just want you to know that I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of us, man. You know, who would have thought, you know, a year ago that this is where we would be?
In a better, like, honestly, we both, I think I hit my lowest point while you were just starting downhill. And that's what I'm saying. Like, terrible analogy, but this is like the same shit with The Last of Us, right? Like, you have a main character who you adore and they're beaten down, but it turns out the person who just, you know, beat them down was beaten down beforehand.
Yeah.
They're on the same track. They're parallel, but at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same for us. We're parallel, but at different times. So
Yeah,
I foresee, you know, your school going well, your, you know, work now going well for you.
crossing my fingers.
No, yeah, dude. You have the drive, bro. Like, I've seen it. You know, if you could do what you did at
Solstice.
Well,
beep. Nah, it's whatever. It is. I didn't sign no contract.
You're right. No NDA. So Solstice, you know, then in reality, you know, I think this position is not enables you, but it definitely guides you along the way, especially as you're starting out. And so I know you're not someone that needs training wheels, buddy. You're ready to go full steam.
If there's anything I have learned is don't settle. I was settling and at such a young age, you know, and it was because I was afraid. And, you know, I was afraid and you know, don't be afraid to go out there and live life and go through the ups and downs and experience. I can't, you know, say it enough as experience.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes we're harbored by, you know, either family or parents or, you know, even significant others. It's just like you need to go out there. And, you know, that's what our parents did. At least that's what my parents did. They left their country, came here, and, you know, they made their life,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was a better one or not. You know, it's how they, you know, I'm not necessarily you need to leave the country, but
Right.
don't be afraid to take the chances. Don't be afraid to take that, you know, different position or move out or transfer schools or change your major or anything like that. It's just the first step is always the hardest, and after that, you know, it's just you go along for the ride.
Mm-hmm. It gets easier.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm very happy that we get to do this on a podcast.
Yeah, or just do this in general, man. Like,
yeah,
having this outlet to talk. You know what? You're right. This does feel like the end of the year for me.
yeah.
Looking back at it now, I'd never done this, and I said that I wanted to. I forget what episode. I think it was Holidays Web.
Holidays Web.
And so, you know, we talked about doing this, looking back, seeing everything for what it was. And I didn't think I could because of just the way my tradition would go. But this year, and even looking at last year, I can see it for what it was. And, you know, hindsight is 20/20. It's meant to be as clear as day because it already happened.
Yeah.
And so, with everything that's already happened, I can't predict what's going to happen. But I know me. I do now. 2020 has definitely taught that about myself. Is, you know, my reflection is clear now.
Yeah.
As muddled as it was in the beginning, in the chaos of it all, it's definitely settled.
Would you say that you were afraid at some point of figuring out who you were?
Afraid of figuring myself out. No, I just didn't know where to start.
That's good. That's a good. That's.
I
Damn.
didn't know where to start looking in terms of who I am. I knew what others wanted me to be. I knew what I wanted. But I'm not my wants, I'm what I am, you know? And my wants will form me because I'll strive for whatever it is, and, you know, my needs will form me too.
Mm-hmm.
And the expectations of my parents, as I've established already in the past, is very important to me. And so, with all that being said, I'm formed through all those.
That's good.
Yeah. How about yourself? If you were to look at yourself, you knew who you were with this person. Would you say you found yourself without them?
I think I wasn't necessarily gonna say this because I wasn't sure if it'd be TMI or not.
Go ahead.
But I've actually come to the realization that even before I met that person, that there were things within me that I didn't necessarily deal with, and it's a scary thing to realize. But it's a good thing to realize because I think I can move on now from trying to, I guess, reason, or I wouldn't say reason, but dealing with, the whole Pebbles thing.
Like rationalize it?
And not rationalize it, but more so moving on to dealing with the actual issue, which is myself. There's a lot of things about myself that maybe I've pushed away. I've let others push it away. I've tried to mold myself, maybe to others' likings for one reason or the other, and I have found myself in a spot where I've carried all that with me and forgot who exactly I am to the core, and what my real issues are, I guess you could say. And 2020 is going to be that journey. 2021 is going to be that journey of looking at myself in the mirror and fighting those demons. As cliche as it sounds and as cheesy as it sounds, this year wasn't really, how I say it, that it was more so just the first step. Would I say I'm taking the first step? Yeah. I think I've attempted many steps. But I've also realized at the same time it's never gonna be just a straight upward mobility either. And that's okay. And like I said, you just got to keep moving despite those moments of I guess when you take a step back, or you find yourself in a darker place than you were yesterday. Those days are gonna happen, and you feel suffocated, but at the same time, like I said, I have people around me that I have the people around me now where I don't stay there, and to answer your question, no, but yes.
You're picking yourself up.
Yeah,
that's what the end of this year is. You're getting back to your own 2 feet, and you want 2021 for you to be you standing on your own. And the crazy part about that saying, you know, I'm finding my demons. You have to look and see at which point you let them in, because you allow demons into your life, at least according to the Bible. You allow them in, you know, they can't enter without your permission.
I agree with that.
And so I agree that the way you phrased it is right. You said that you allowed others to form maybe problems that, you know, they have, right? And you allowed that to kind of form to their liking, right? You allowed yourself to form to their liking.
Yeah.
So that in itself would, you know, be a demon, right? You let in other people's expectations too highly, which I have as well, you know.
Yeah.
And that they're not everything, but the way that it's been skewed, the way that message, you know, the expectations of others has formed me and you, not to put words in your mouth, but
no, you're okay.
But the two of us, it's you know, it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy because we forgot to form who we are instead of to form the what others expected of us.
You have to spend a lot of time with yourself, as scary as that is to some people, and as of how do I say this, a weird thing that is to say. It's true. You have to spend a lot of time with yourself, because at the end of the day, you are gonna have issues with other people very, very close to you, even when you're in your 50s, even when you're, you know, quote unquote, in a good relationship. And the person that's going to pick you up from that it should not be the other person. It should be yourself. You should be able to tell yourself, look, we're not in a good spot, and, you know, I'm going to do what I need to do to know how to get there. Whether you want to come with me or not is up to you, but I'm going to come to you when I'm ready, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, it's,
and we're not saying it's wrong to use another person as a crutch, but you are meant to get off your crutches and stand on your own 2 feet. A relationship is a partnership, like Junior said, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to stand side by side. And I can't do that with you leaning on me or me leaning on you. So yes, you can be my support, but I'm not going to need you at some point, and that's okay. I'm not saying that I'm apart from you and that I don't need you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want to be with you. That's that's the part that of a relationship. It's that faith between two people that you're just like
friendship.
Yeah, relationship, friendship. Like, you know, I'll be there to pick you up, but you have to stand up. I can't carry you the whole way.
And I'll tell you right now, to get to that point, it's you're gonna deal with a lot of tough nights. You're gonna deal with a lot of just looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself, is who the fuck am I? Like, what am I doing here? You know, but I think when people say, you know, starting from the bottom and building yourself up, it's not necessarily true. You're taking everything that you just went through, and that's gonna stay with you. Is what I also learned this year. Those things, as much as you want to say, I want to forget it, or I want to leave it in the past, or blah blah blah, it's gonna stay with you in one way or the other, and you have to learn from that. Learn from that and understand that it's still going to hurt and it's still going to suck. But at the end of the day, you've moved on past it. And you're just building on top of it. And you know, it's like when there's a forest fire, you know, the forest grows from the ashes. Mm-hmm. The ashes don't necessarily go away. They become part of that tree, don't they?
Yeah. They definitely do.
And it's like, you know, I see, you know, older people, sometimes the way they deal with death, you see a lot of them actually, in the end, be very I wouldn't say joyful, but more so, I guess you could say accepting and understanding, and
it's graceful.
Yeah, there we go. And I just hope that, whoever's listening to this, I hope you get there someday. And we all will, but you're going to have to go through it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have to go through it. And also know that you're not alone. So you're not alone.
Yeah. There have been days where I can't be in the quiet car,
Yeah.
It's
silence is violent.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, that's right. Car radio. Yeah. Sometimes quiet is violent. So yeah, like I would be in a car, and I'd need to call somebody, and when the person wouldn't answer, like then it's music. And I remember at one point, I was on my iPhone 6, and that shit was not getting any signal. It was barely getting GPS. And so nobody was picking up the phone, and nobody was
available.
Yeah, well, they have their own things to do,
Mm.
right? The crutch thing that I said. And I accepted that, and then I tried putting on music just as a distraction, and, the acceptance was retracted very quickly.
Right.
And, yeah, I sat in the car with, like, a vice grip on the steering wheel, and, just a long drive ahead of me, taillight to taillight, and I was like, what the fuck? And it sucked. I put on NPR instead.
That's a very interesting
yeah,
artist to put on, but yeah, man. I don't want to cut you off here.
No, you're good. That's
yeah, it's
you have to live with yourself, man.
Yeah, you definitely do, and you know what? That is something I've learned. 100% this year is what I learned. I mean, I know it was true in 2019, but did I really accept it and understand it? No. Now I do, and I know what it's gonna take, and I've got a long road ahead of me, but so does everyone else. And all we can hope for is, good health and happy family, and good times for those for the people around us, and hopefully we can continue doing this.
Yeah.
I feel like people enjoy listening to us.
Yeah, there are definitely people who love listening to us. Hi, Sydney. I just wanted to sneak that in there at the end here. Sydney's our number one fan, I think.
Aww.
I mean, unless somebody else wants to claim that title, go ahead and try her.
This is what Joel and Goose decided on. No, I'm kidding. I don't even know what she sounds like.
No. But, yeah.
So, Joel, I mean, to kind of wrap this up, where are we heading? What are we gonna do for this podcast? So
the plan is looking like taking 1 month to not only, gather a guest list for season 2 of our podcast here, but also to maybe collect ourselves, have a graceful entrance to the year, whatever it may bring. Probably a lightning storm from another planet or some shit. And, just whatever it may bring, good or bad. We just want a clean start to the year and maybe prepare for February as much as we can. Maybe even like early January if we're really feeling the itch for the podcast.
Yeah, I would definitely say, at least for me personally, I think late January would probably be a good, comfortable start for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to anything like that. I am someone who creatively is just not that creative.
Boy.
And I want a good kind of little space here to really put our thoughts together and ideas, and like you said, like a good list, and you know, we have the support. We have, you know, we know we can do this now, you know, and now it's just to really, you know, take a step back and really look at what we want this to be. And, you know, thank you you guys for listening.
Thank you.
We 100% appreciate it. If there's anything, you know, you guys want to let us know, feedback, and, you know, you got a whole month to let us know.
Things you want to see, things you don't want to hear anymore.
Yeah, and
video maybe. No.
Maybe. Hopefully one day we get there.
Yeah.
But, you know, Joel and I, you know, we do have a lot of ideas for this. But I think it's time for us to really fine tune it and really set a plan towards something, whether it's something like this or something entirely maybe different. I wouldn't say it's going to be entirely different, for sure not, but you never know. A lot can happen in the month. So sorry guys. I feel like it's a mutual thing, and if not, you know, I'm sorry.
No, I get you. Get you, and yeah, I think looking at it, without emotions attached, you do need a break, right?
You need that reflection.
Yeah, and I have plenty of stuff to do anyway in January, like I was saying.
Yeah. Congrats on the promotion and all that, man. And you got proud of you, man.
So the next time you guys hear me, I'll be 21.
Happy early birthday.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
All right. Well, unless you got anything else to say, man.
I think that's it.
Well, this has been the Turtle Hour Podcast.
Signing off.
Peace.
Peace.